What's good, family? Shout out to the boss man, Dougie Freer, for boosting up your man the YB merch sales. No doubt about it, 100% boosted right now. So, as you've seen by the title, this video might come across a bit haterish, a bit one of them ones-ish, a bit glory fanish, because people know, listen, my hands, when I'm wrong or whatever, my hands go in the air. Now, I was right on this one in terms of the gambling side of things, but in terms of my fanboyism for what might be perceived to be Canelo fanboyism. For example, I thought Canelo would put the beats on Usyk. Yeah, that's because, listen, I don't like the boring ass style of Usyk. Oops, simple as that. I don't like it. Yeah, he run around the place, and I don't like it. How about that? So I would have liked Canelo to have been a UFO alien and somehow been able to whoop Usyk. We know now that ain't gonna happen. However, I'm telling you that because people know I like Canelo. What he does, he tries to be great. But what this fight for me is kind of undermined, I don't know. Is Canelo going to come back? And remember, when he lost to Triple G, yeah, he came back and he categorically changed his game. And it's been different ever since. He arguably lost the first Triple G fight, and ever since then he's been a very aggressive fighter and made seismic changes into the rematch. And bottom line, definitely improved from the first fight to the second fight and dominated the second fight to some extent. Now, like I was saying, that being said, I'm just going to go based on what happened tonight. Yeah? Now, I'm not jumping off the bandwagon, but I'm going to call a spade a spade. What's the spade here? Well, Canelo was losing the fight. Or it was, I'm not sure what his corner were telling him, but it was clear to anyone who's not being biased, Canelo was losing the fight early on. 6 rounds, after 6 rounds it's clear it ain't working how you think it's working. And you could see the frustration on Canelo's face. So the point is here, look at history. Great Mexican fighters, or great fighters in general. The point of moving up is, Eddie Hearn, for example, today said, he's moving up because he needs more challenges. He wants to be challenged more and this, that, the other. That's all well and good, but the way Canelo fought tonight, it was almost as if he just thought he was going to go in there and knock Bivol out like he'd been doing everyone else. What's the point there? Well, where was the pushing through? Yeah? Going up in weight is all well and good, but at some point, I'm not sure, I think almost Canelo got too confident. He didn't understand that, okay, you keep going up in weight, but at some point, you're likely to get some fire back. And that's what true greatness is. True greatness isn't going in there and topping Billy Joe and topping whoever else who's easy to beat. Greatness is finding a way to win. Now, some people have said Canelo's game is one-dimensional, and it was. There was no adjustments made, really. And I don't even think that's necessarily a bad thing, in as much as I wasn't expecting Canelo to go in there and do what he normally does, and if that didn't work, do something else. He's not like Mayweather in that regard. He's not someone who can find the tricky ways. But what I did expect from Canelo is that when he started getting some resistance, he would go into Mexican style mode. Yeah? Grip mode. Where was that tonight? And I've been very critical of people like Anthony Johnston for not wanting to get stuck in. Now, Canelo ain't no Anthony Johnston. But let's be real here. For the first time tonight, we saw Canelo getting backed up to the ropes. We haven't seen this new Canelo. Since Triple G2, we haven't seen Canelo spend half the fight on the ropes. We haven't seen him look... let's be real here. This, to me, Alvarez looked like almost a broken bully fighter tonight. In as much as people like Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was great when he was winning. The minute he backed him up, he threw his toys out the pram and really didn't want to know. Yeah? An on-top fighter. And I gotta say, Alvarez tonight looked like a bit of an on-top fighter. Yeah? He's great when he's winning. When he's losing, I didn't see that greatness tonight. I didn't see that. Alvarez almost looked... He wasn't trying to find a way to win, was he? He almost looked resigned to losing. Now, it must be said, Eddie Reynoso has had 2 very similar fights in the last few weeks. The Shakur Stevenson fight where Valdez lost, and then the Alvarez fight. Both fights very similar. Both men just got big manned. But equally, both men, where was the pushing through? Where was that traditional Mexican style? Hands up and just, let's get stuck in. I can't win. I can't beat him with my original game plan, so let me just go Mexican style. Yeah, Alvarez has 80,000 fans there, or however many fans. Now's the time to show it. That's what isn't that what you're going up in weight for? Or are you going up in weight because you thought you were just going to pop everyone on the jaw once and pop their eyes, like Billy Joe? That's the way it on hindsight, that's what it looks like. Because I was even critical of Dmitry Bivol in the fight, saying that, you know, he should have done more, which I think he should have done. I think Bivol should have put his foot down in the last three rounds and teed off on Alvarez some more. But on reflection, if I can be critical of Bivol not doing more, well, Bivol was, to be fair to him, he was winning the fight. And all this talk about, well, bear in mind I'm critical of AJ and other people who get paid a whole bunch of money and don't really do much. Now, again, fair play to Alvarez, he's going up in weights, but you chose to do that. And you chose to do that to try and be great, which is all well and good, but like I said, greatness isn't going in there and beating someone up and dominating them. Greatness, when you think about the great fights in history, it's about adversity and then overcoming it. Part of the reason why some people struggle, Teddy Atlas is notorious for being critical of Mike Tyson is that Teddy Atlas quite arguably rightly said the reason he doesn't consider Mike Tyson a great is because he never came through any adversity. Show us a Mike Tyson fight, yeah, at the top level where he was down and fought and found a way to win. There ain't none. Yeah? Mike Tyson was either winning and he won, or he was losing and he lost. He never pushed through and found a different way or warriored through. Now, to be fair to Alvarez, there are some fights. I mean, the Mayweather fight, again, even to be honest, the Mayweather fight, I mean, when you think of Marcos Maidana showed Floyd no respect and went in there and started winging big shots away, especially in the first fight. The second fight, not so much, but the point is, even in the Mayweather fight, when Alvarez was clearly losing, where was that Mexican mode? Where was that switch that says, you know what, scrap this, scrap self-preservation? Bear in mind, people, Alvarez has a great chin as well. Alvarez is being paid heaps of money, so he's being compensated for his risk. And that's the key thing for me. Fair enough, yeah? If you're getting paid 20 grand, I'm not going to be mad if you don't want to go into a dirty, gritty war, but when you're getting paid 50 million bucks, yeah? Come on now. Yeah, when you're making 50 million bucks, you best... I don't see it, I can't defend someone going in there, and Alvarez almost looked, it was almost take it or leave it, which is something that we often see with these big fights, with people making too much money these days. They're just not that bothered. Alvarez didn't look that bothered. Did you see him trying to find a way to win and desperate to win? Even in the championship rounds, even in the last round. We've seen people like Bomac, for example. When Crawford fought Sean Porter, which was nowhere near as... I mean, Sean Porter was losing. But even so, Bomac told Crawford, listen, Crawford, you're probably losing this fight. Even though he wasn't, but he told him that to make sure that you go out there and do what you need to do. Reynoso tonight, I didn't see any emotion from him. And in fact, Alvarez was jumping on the ropes, celebrating at the end of the fight. He should have known. Where was that Emmanuel Stewardness that should have been telling Alvarez after 6 rounds, listen champ, you're down and you need a KO. Alvarez should have been told at the end of round 9, at the worst, you need a KO. Yeah? You got your fans here and you're getting beat. Do you want this or not? This is what greatness is. This is what you're supposed to be going up weights for. Because if Alvarez had just wanted easy fights, he could stay at 160, 168 and still be just as great. Or, do you know what I'm saying? But if you go in, if the point of going up is to find the challenge, which I agree, there isn't. I think Alvarez potentially can stop everyone at 168. So I understand going up, but if you do go up, you got what you was looking for, is the point here. Alvarez found everything he was looking for and more. You could see the frustration. But I didn't see that. I got to admit it. Yeah, Alvarez is a great on-top fighter. That's what we can now say. But what he hasn't shown for me yet is finding a way to win when the chips are down. Because, okay, you can, again, the Mayweather fight. Alvarez should have, in that Mayweather fight, put his hands up and just gone reckless. Especially against Floyd, who we all know can't punch. Well, it begs the question. And that's something that Floyd's always said. If I haven't got no power, why don't people march me down? And that's why De La Hoya beat Floyd. De La Hoya beat Floyd because he didn't show him no respect. And that was a shot-worn De La Hoya. And that's why I respect De La Hoya, because he got stuck in. Watch that fight. De La Hoya showed Floyd no respect, came straight forward. And that was an old, washed-up De La Hoya. So it begged the question, why wasn't Alvarez doing the same? Alvarez showed Floyd way too much respect. Alvarez was sitting at mid-range, just getting outboxed the whole night. He wasn't really looking to push on. The Golovkin fight. I mean, yeah, that was a decent innings. That was a decent innings, fair enough. But since then, all it's been is win, which is great. But you found what you was looking for. You found a tough fight, which should have drawn the war out of you. Which should have drawn the greatness out of you. This should have been, I'm not even saying, even if Alvarez had put himself on the line, but I believe at this level, yeah, when you're getting paid all that money, you should almost have it's going to be me or it's going to be him attitude. A lot of the times, yeah, we saw Alvarez almost cowering into the corner. Especially when you bear in mind, people, he's the aggressive fighter here. He's the heavy puncher. He's the aggressive fighter. Where was that? I'm asking the question, where was the Mexican style tonight? Where was it? Where was that, you know what, I'm in a war tonight, let's get stuck in. Let's start enjoying it. I didn't see Alvarez really enjoying it in there, which was a shame, to be honest. I thought he was gritted in that almost. And who knows, maybe in the rematch he's going to kind of show that. But all I can go based on is what we saw tonight. And the question must be asked, number one, with the trainer. Eddie Reynoso has won Trainer of the Year, but in my opinion, you don't win Trainer of the Year when you're winning all the time. We all can do that. You win Trainer of the Year is when you come through adversity. When has your fighter been down and found a way to win still? That's what I think. That's what I think's great, or truly great. Yeah, you can be great winning anyway. But you found your... And that's the thing for me is the fact that Alvarez actually had the harder punches. Punch for punch, Alvarez had a harder punch. Now, I know obviously that isn't all that wins, but we know also Alvarez has a great chin. And Alvarez wasn't battered to smithereens, so it begs the question. Alvarez had a lot of health points left. He hadn't even been knocked down. When you think about, for example, the Josh Taylor fight. Now, Josh Taylor fought recently and lost, but got the points win. But the point is, Josh Taylor kept pushing almost too much, trying to find a way, gritting through. I didn't see that tonight from Alvarez. I saw Alvarez come out, give a good 30 seconds, run out of gas, and just kind of back up and try and do some slick things on the back foot. I didn't see that. I'm desperate to win. I want to win. I saw someone who was kind of like, I'm frustrated, but I ain't trying to put myself at risk. I'm not trying to find a way. I'm just gonna kind of hope the judges have got me. That's what it looked like. It looked like he was just relying on some magic to save him. He didn't want to save himself. And people say, why people, you wouldn't save yourself? I'm not saying I would. I'm just calling a spade though. We've seen other fighters against a lot worse odds trying. I mean, again, Josh Taylor got knocked down for the first time in his career, for example, trying to find a way. On an awful night for him. I didn't see Alvarez putting himself at risk like that. He was much happier staying out of the way and whatever else. Which is okay, but don't forget, people. We've come down hard on other people. We've come down hard on Billy Joe, on Callum Smith, saying that they didn't really want to... They just turned up to sell their belt. Well, this for me is a kind of similar situation. Alvarez kind of turned up. If he was magically going to get a win, he would have taken it. But I didn't see that true pinnacle of class. Now, some people like Floyd was... Well, apart from the fight he lost against De La Hoya, Floyd was slick enough almost not to have to... Floyd was slick enough to win without having to push through. But Alvarez's style, which is an aggressive, heavy punching style... Alvarez is never going to... Alvarez will rarely win on a outpointing match as such. Well, he could win, but the point is, you know what I mean, the style Alvarez adopted for this fight was, I'm the heavy puncher and you're getting walked down. Well, like I said, it begs the question, for the last 6 rounds, when you were clearly down, where was that? Where was the next level of that? We all know what the next level is. We've all seen Gatti and Ward or whatever. We all know where that goes to. Yeah, your elbows go in and you're sitting there and you bang away and it's me or him, and if I go down, I go down. Especially when we consider the Mexican heritage as well. It's Cinco de Mayo. It's the Mexican heritage of getting stuck in. You're getting paid a whole bunch of money. You've been made a whole bunch of money. I expect more. I gotta be honest. I hold other fighters to the same standard. I ain't no fangirl, and I think Alvarez needs to. I mean, don't forget, people. Alvarez has criticised other people in the past about not being dedicated or whatever. Now, Alvarez is dedicated, but I'm not sure. I mean, if people who are honest with themselves, I mean, even the crowd, you could hear for the last 3 rounds, in fact, for the last 6 rounds, the fans started booing. Because Alvarez, for the last 2 minutes, would just be backing up. The fans started booing. And in fact, normally, you know what it's like, Cinco de Mayo, it's cheering and everyone's going mad. The crowd was silent and or booing when Alvarez was backing up. And don't forget, again, Mexican heritage knows what Mexican style is. They know what the Mexican greats have done to find a way. We've seen countless champions with their faces all mashed up. Alvarez's face wasn't mashed up. It wasn't cut. It wasn't bleeding. Now, I'm sure fanboys will say, "Well, he got so much defense." Well, no, he just didn't want to go there, did he? He was happy to get outboxed and lose on points. Similar to Callum Smith. Similar to most, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, I do think on that level, there needs to be questions asked there. I think his trainer, very poor as well tonight. Very poor. In fact, on both nights, the Valdez night and the other night. They should have been told, listen, you need to... Well, make your mind up. Do you want to be the pinnacle of greatness or not? If you don't, fine. I'm just letting you know, you're not the pinnacle of greatness. That performance was not the pinnacle of... Because no one even... I'm not even saying he would have won if he'd done that, but no one can watch this fight, and say, Bivol versus Canelo will never go down in history as a great fight, will it? Well, it's certainly not from Canelo's point of view. No one will sit there and say, wow. Because we've seen, I mean, there's a reason 20, 30 years later, people talk about Gatti and Ward. Do you understand? And those two weren't even at the pinnacle of technique or whatever. But there's a reason that fight still comes into mind right now. It still resonates. Even though it wasn't for World Champ. I'm not even sure it was World Championship. But either way, they weren't pound for pound. Yeah? But no one's going to sit there and say, oh, Alvarez put on a kind of Gatti performance. No one can say that. Because it wasn't that. It was I've got to be honest, this really felt to me like a bit of a TikTok performance. This performance here from Alvarez looked like a standard 2022 fighter performance. As in, I'm getting paid a whole bunch of money and I'm not really fussed if I win or not. I'm just going to go for the motions. We don't see that hunger, we don't see that desperation to win. We don't see that me or you-ness about it. Everyone's happy just to lose on points. So, I do think Alvarez's team need to question themselves. Why weren't they communicating? Where was the emotion? Alvarez, you're losing. You're going to throw this away. You're throwing it away. Do you want this or not? It's almost as if Alvarez is the money man. And, well, to be fair, Reynoso's quite meek anyway, to be honest. Same as the Valdez fight. He should have been told, listen, you need a KO. It's up to you whether you want it or not. Do you want to be great or not? Alvarez didn't push it there, did he? Now, some people might say, well, he didn't have the cardio to push it. Listen, I don't know what to tell you. If you ain't got the I don't know what you'd be doing in training. I don't know what to say at that point. I don't know what the answer to that is, but and that is a fair point. Cardio makes mice of all men, but equally, yeah, I'm sure everyone else who's been involved in wars over the years didn't have much cardio left. That's what makes it a war. Do you understand? Wars normally aren't pretty, are they? Wars, you don't see people's hands really tight. Wars end up sloppy because you're both knackered. That's what makes it great. You're knackered, you've got nothing left, and you're still trying to find a way. Did Alvarez deliver that tonight for his 50 million? No, he didn't. Yeah? No, he didn't. And it kind of begs the question, We talk about a rematch, but a rematch of what? A rematch of what? A rematch of you turning up and having a game plan, and if it doesn't work, then never mind. That's what, isn't it? There was no... I'm not even talking about having another plan. I'm talking about a desperation gear. As a saying, refusing to lose, or desperate to win. There wasn't that, was there? And that is something that's become, what's the word? It's become almost like a cancer on the sport, especially in the recent years. No one's really that desperate to win, are they? They're all kind of like, AJ, these big overpaid athletes, massively overpaid. Conor McGregor, they kind of turn up. If they catch you, great. If they don't, they lose. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying Alvarez, for me, was one of the best examples, but the problem is, you see, we all got suckered in to some extent because people look. I've told Anthony Johnson before that he needs to be more like Canelo, but it's all well and good being aggressive, yeah, when you're winning and you're dominating the fight, but guess what? Where was that aggressiveness for the last 9 rounds? Where was the aggressiveness for the last 2 minutes of every round? Where was the aggressiveness in the last 2 minutes of the last 9 rounds? Where was it? There weren't none. He won the back foot. There was very little aggressiveness. So, you know what I mean? So I do think, and I'm sure people will say, oh, this, that, the other, but I'm just calling a spade here. When you actually look at the environment, or even to be honest, to be fair, look at Fury and Wilder. Yeah? Fury and Wilder, in their third fight, both men off the canvas. Both men finding a way. Because they had to. Both men did that. Yeah? Where was that? Where was it? Wilder just went to sloppy mode. Just trying to find something. And I gotta say, I really do have exponential respect for Wilder. We always knew he didn't have the technique, so I'm not gonna. Of course, he could have had more technique and been more refined, but to some extent, we've seen plenty of refinedness. What we haven't seen enough of in recent times is someone who's desperate to win. Wilder was desperate to win, and he was gassed. Wilder was gassed after 3 rounds, but he was prepared to go out cold on his front or his back. Or win. Yeah? I really do have a lot of respect for him. I really do. No matter all the other things that's gone on before, the fact of the matter is, when it mattered, he was prepared to go out on his back. That gets held in the highest of esteem. And so was Fury, to be fair. This Don, Alvarez, I didn't see that. Where was the... You'd think if Canelo felt like Wilder, he'd have been in there just chin down winging. And if he gets caught and go sleep. And let's be real now. Wilder could have, against Fury, just gone on the back foot and kept his guard up. And we've seen countless fighters go on the back foot and put a tight guard up and just wait it out. We've seen that. We've been seeing that. Wilder could have done that. He ain't do that. He go out cold. Yeah? Alvarez tonight, getting paid $50 million. Didn't want to know anything about it, did he? Let's be real now. Did he? Where was the Warrior? Where was it? Can anyone sit there and tell us we saw a Warrior from Canelo tonight? No. That's the answer to that question. And for all that heritage, all that Cinco de Mayo, and I feel to some extent, it's not fraudulent, but Alvarez obviously, like most people do, they take advantage of their environment, but we haven't seen that, have we? We haven't really, when you work it out, when have we really seen, categorically, Alvarez put in an all-time great performance, or an all-time Mexican-style performance? Go on, name me the fights. The Golovkin rematch? Maybe. Mate, that's probably the best example, but you know what I'm saying? He's not. That's probably the best example, the Golovkin rematch. But the point is, people, even if you count that one, which is borderline in my opinion, I wouldn't call Golovkin Alvarez 2 as a classic warrior example. Look at Chris Eubank Senior. Chris Eubank Senior had one eye in one of his fights. Literally, his eye was like a football pumped out of his head. In fact, look at even in the UFC, Molly McCann, a female fighter. Her eye was all bust up, and she going in there carrying on, trying to find a way. Yeah. So there's plenty of examples of people much more bashed up than Alvarez. Alvarez really wasn't bashed up. He wasn't cut. He wasn't damaged. Trying to find a way. Alvarez had a few marks and was resigned to just rolling over and having his belly tickled. Really, let's be real now. That's the facts. The facts are you got paid $50 million and ain't really want to push through. That's what it come down to. Yeah. You weren't desperate to win. You weren't refusing to lose. You was typical Ryan Garcia-ness. Yeah, taking it or leaving it. And I've got to say, there is a lot of that going around. We saw Tank Davis the other day fighting Pitbull. He running it. It's just all a bit. I'm getting turned off. I'm getting turned off here with a whole lot of it, to be honest. We've just seen in the UFC Tony Ferguson go out cold. Many people go out cold. We didn't see that kind of attitude from Alvarez. He wasn't prepared to put his whiskers on the line like other people have done. And that has to be... I'm sorry, but there's something to be said about that. He's the aggressive fighter. He's got no business, in my opinion. Especially in the championship rounds, backing up some more. What for? Where's Cinco de Mayo, innit? You should be showing your fans, 80,000 fans. That's the whole point, isn't it? The whole point of doing it on a Mexican holiday is to show Mexican style, no? Otherwise, what are we doing here? Or is it the Mike Tyson on top show? These are the questions that must be asked, to be honest. There's a serious question here about what Alvarez is really selling. It sounds to me like he's selling on top tickets. That's what this is showing. Yeah? If he's on top, great. If he's not, he'll just... We've seen it time and time again. Like I said, Mayweather fight, you're not really bothered if he wins or not. He could have gone in there and proper stuck it on Mayweather. Let's be real now. Watch that fight. He didn't go. Watch Mayweather versus De La Hoya and watch Mayweather versus Alvarez. Alvarez ain't really won it like that. De La Hoya wanted it bad. He was desperate to get in there, desperate for it, and that's why I believe he won that fight. You can even watch it. Floyd got whooped in that fight. That's a fact. Floyd spent the whole night on the ropes. De La Hoya pushed him there. Yeah, didn't give Floyd no space and time to play pity patty games. Alvarez give Floyd all the time. And I'm sorry, but when you're that strong, it's just like, especially when people praise Alvarez is psychologically, I just didn't see it. I saw him get frustrated, and I saw him almost throw his toys at the pram. Oh, I'm not winning, so I'm not going to play your game. I'm taking my ball home, and I'm just going to sit on the ropes and play defense. I didn't see you know what, I'm in a good fight here. This guy's getting it. Yeah, it's Cinco de Mayo. And don't forget, people, when Alvarez is on top here, when he was fighting Billy Joe, he was hyping the fans up. He was encouraging them. Yeah, innit? Getting gassed. Where was that? Because we've seen fighters in the past going through it, doing, you know what I mean, doing the same thing, in the middle, in the thick of it. I didn't see that from Alvarez. He looked like he didn't want to be there anymore. I'm not winning now, I don't really want to be here. This is going to end up being a bit of a hard fight. I don't want to be... It's not fun anymore. I'm just telling you what it is. It looked like Alvarez weren't having as much fun anymore. And I get it. We all have fun winning, but true greatness is having fun when you're in the thick of things and you're stuck in the middle of it. And the odds are against you, and you're still pushing on. Win, lose or draw, I'm finding a way. So Alvarez and his team, in my opinion, need to sit down and seriously think about this. Because in my opinion, don't bother. Unless Alvarez goes into the rematch with Bivol and says, it's going to be me or it's going to be him tonight, don't bother doing the rematch. And to be honest, forget about the 175, unless you're going to pick titles. Unless Alvarez waits until someone's weak at 175, forget about going up in weights. Yeah? Unless you're dedicated, unless you really want it like that, don't bother going up in weights. Because going up in weights to have a boxing fight, I don't know what it proves. Going up in weights to truly, I want to prove a point here, which Alvarez didn't show tonight. He didn't show he wanted to prove a point. Don't bother. Just stay at 168 and keep doing what you're doing. Yeah? 100%. I'll be intrigued to see what you man think anyway, but that's my thoughts. It has to be said. It must be said, because I'm consistent here. Yeah? And really thinking about it, if anyone else put that kind of performance on, I just didn't see enough from the. I just didn't see enough desperation to win. I didn't, and the amount of time Alvarez spent not doing much after the first 30 seconds, it was shocking, to be honest with you. The last 2 minutes of the last half of the fight, Alvarez was doing very little. A big